We all know that some women were powerful and popular in history. But did you know that Elizabeth Howard was the mother of Anne Boleyn? Well, let me explain. Elizabeth Howard was born in 1480. But in 1484 in the gardens 4-year-old Elizabeth Howard was playing her mother Elizabeth Tilney. But in 1497 Elizabeth Tilney died when Elizabeth Howard was 17 years old. But in 1498 Elizabeth Howard married Thomas Boleyn. But in 1499 Elizabeth Howard gave birth to Mary Boleyn. But in 1501 Elizabeth Howard gave birth to Anne Boleyn. But Elizabeth Howard had loved her daughter Anne and her daughter Mary Boleyn and her son George Boleyn. But Elizabeth Howard was nice to the people. But in 1521 Elizabeth Howard was in a royal feast. But in 1522 Anne Boleyn went straight to the UK. But Thomas Boleyn controlled Anne Boleyn to caught the king's eye.
But with wit.
But
Anne,
King
my
Henry
love for
VIII
you
was in love with Anne
consumes me.
Boleyn.
Your Majesty,
You honor me.
you will be mine.
But in
My lady, these are from the
1533
king.
King Henry VIII divorced
From
Catherine of
Henry?
Aragon.
He has cast me aside.
But King
this
Henry
ring
VIII
I thee
married
wed.
Anne Boleyn.
With this ring, I thee wed.
I now pronounce you man and wife.
But Anne
A
Boleyn
daughter!
gave birth to
You have
Elizabeth
given me
Tudor
a
and King
daughter!
Henry
I
VIII
need
was
a
mad
son,
because
a
he
son
wanted
to
a male
secure the
heir.
throne.
But Elizabeth Tudor was named after her two grandmothers Elizabeth of York and Elizabeth Howard. But in 1534 Elizabeth Howard hugged her daughter Anne Boleyn. But Anne Boleyn was guilty of adultery, incest, of treason. But Anne Boleyn was sent to the dungeons. But in 1536 Anne Boleyn was executed and beheaded.
Anne Boleyn was dead.
But Elizabeth Howard was mad at Thomas Boleyn for the execution of their children Anne Boleyn and George Boleyn. But Elizabeth Howard was banished at royal court. But in 1538 Elizabeth Howard died. But Elizabeth Howard was buried in St. Mary's Church in Lambeth. This is the story of Elizabeth Howard.